So Disney and Marvel decided to say, you know what? Let's go ahead and pause on the releases with Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars and push those out further. So Doomsday is now coming out in 2026 of December, and Avengers Secret Wars is coming out in December of 2027. Now, this might end up being a good thing given what's happened this year with Marvel. We've seen the box office flops with Captain America not doing too well, Thunderbolts not doing well at the box office. There's not a lot of momentum with Marvel right now because of the mistake they've made with casting. They've made some mistakes with gender swapping characters, race swapping, and it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people just don't really support Marvel, and the characters are also boring at the same time. You look at Thunderbolts, it's not a bad movie, but they're more like B or C list characters. It's not the Iron Mans of the world, the Captain Americas, the Thors, the Hulks, the Spider Mans, the Wolverines. Those characters have a bigger impact when you go to see a movie, but they're nowhere to be found because obviously Endgame killed off Iron Man. Captain America went back in time to be with Peggy. And Thor is in his own little world. Hulk's also in his own little world. So there's not a lot of continuity going on in the Marvel universe. And now you have this huge project where you're supposed to bring back audiences. That's why they decided to bring back Robert Downey Jr. because they're like, you know what? We need to spice things up and get people caring about Marvel. But it's not showing at the box office. The numbers aren't saying, you know what, people are going to see these movies. Now, Thunderbolts, again, is not a bad movie in my opinion. I thought it was a solid film. Unfortunately, the numbers don't back that up. So it's interesting timing because in December of 2026, there's a lot of big films coming out. So let's point that out real quick. I think some of these films might get pushed back, in my opinion. So looking at the first one that really stands out is Dune Messiah. I don't think that's going to come out at the same time as Avengers Doomsday. I would be really surprised. I think they're pushed that to another date. Look at Ice Age 6. I don't know if they want to, come out the same day as Avengers Doomsday. Maybe they will, but you look at Shrek 5 coming out on December 23rd. The Chronicles of Narnia reboot is supposed to come out on Christmas Day. And then you have Jumanji 3 on December 11th. There's a lot of other classic films that are returning to the big screen. And you have to wonder, can Avengers Doomsday, can they compete with these other films? Because they're going to have a huge budget. And you're going to have family films out there. And if Disney continues to ruin its reputation and continues to push, propaganda that people don't agree with, are people going to line up at the box office? I think they will because of all the nostalgia. They're going to bring back old characters. So that will help them. But will they break even? That's the biggest question I have, especially with all the money they're going to pour into these films. Now, if the Russo brothers have as much control as possible, if the rumors are we're trying to reboot the entire Avengers universe, then it might work out. However, I don't know. We shall see. Now, given the timing of this, it's interesting because a lot of the Avengers movies came out in the summertime. They came out in May or June or July, and people went out to see them. But, you're not seeing that same consistency. So is that going to affect the numbers because people are used to seeing the Avengers in the summertime? Maybe, maybe not. We saw No Way Home do really well. That came out in December. So we shall see how this all plays out. But I'm really happy they're delaying it because I think it will give them time to evaluate what's going to happen this year, especially if Fantastic Four doesn't perform at the box office. When that's the main characters that's tied to Doomsday, Doctor Doom. If people don't like the Fantastic Four, maybe you go in a different direction. Or maybe you bring a guy back like Chris Pratt, who has a lot of influence that people like. And if people don't like the Fantastic Four, well, you've got a problem on your hands because, again, you have Doomsday and the Fantastic Four are going to be heavily involved. So the Russo brothers have to figure out, and Marvel Studios and Disney need to reevaluate, should we move forward? Because there's a lot of money going into this project. And if it doesn't do well, that's probably the end of the Marvel Universe as we know it for now. You'll probably see a shutdown, a reboot. And I think that'd be a good thing because it gives creators a break. Also gives fans a break from superhero movies, and maybe you get away from it for like 5 to 10 years. Make standalone shows, standalone TV, standalone movies. I don't know, but at the end of the day, Fantastic Four is huge for Marvel. If it doesn't perform well, if it's not received well from the audience, then there's gonna be a lot of trouble. Especially if the numbers don't back it up. If it doesn't do really well at the box office, then how do you justify this film? So it's a good thing for them to delay it. We'll see if they can properly execute things. That's what I'm curious about. It does give them time to figure out the story, the direction, and hopefully the Russo brothers get a ton of control because I'm telling you right now, if Kevin Feige wants to focus on social commentary, like you said about X-Men, he wants to be politically correct, that is not going to end very well. We don't want to see that. We want to see good stories, develop the characters, and have balance with these guys because if we're seeing the constant things they've been pushing out, it's not going to end very well, in my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the news about Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars being on delay. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you also share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.